Hello, everybody. My name is Alex Flores, and today I'm going to be talking about the right to remain innocent, questions and answers. The first question being that to explain two cases that eventually got overturned due to underlying evidence that was found later proving the person's innocence. The first case that I'm going to be talking about today is the case of Leonard Frazier, a 51-year-old man at the time who had allegedly murdered this 14-year-old girl, but the police's only evidence against him was a full recorded confession. Nothing, no DNA was found, no other large pieces of evidence was found against him, proving him guilty. But what got the case overturned was the little girl was found living at her boyfriend's house for over 5 years, and the case was overturned. Another case that got overturned was the case of Earl Ruffin, a man who spent 20 plus years in a Virginia prison accused of a rape. There was DNA evidence found to prove that he wasn't guilty, but he misspoke about his alibi, and then the cop had forgotten about that in the initial interview and then wrote it down and used it against him in the court of law. Over the course of the book, the author talks about reasons to not talk to police. The first one being that, well, there's two problems when it comes to police. They're human and they're susceptible to confirmation bias. And the second one being that they're working with a flawed legal system. The second one being that you could be potentially incriminated for any sort of laws that are written, even if they were scattered in different places, and it would take hours and hours and hours to find all the written laws and codes. Third one being that sometimes cops can be deceptive and lying about who or what they are trying to prosecute or what their initial case is, what evidence is found, nothing. Fourth reason being that you can even get in trouble if you make mistakes. Like if you say your alibi wrong, or you are simply just messing up your words, or like how you're saying it can be mixed up and used against you. Some evidence that is initially, the fifth reason being that some evidence initially that is spoken about when at the crime scene could be found to be inadmissible in court. So that means it can't be used for you to prove your innocence. The sixth reason being that if you misrecall something, that it could be used against you. So like if you like say something wrong, or like you mess up your initial statement, it could be used against you because you're lying, you know. The seventh reason being that eyewitnesses make mistakes all the time. So that's why you shouldn't everybody's human. The eighth reason being that you might say something incriminating, which can be used against you, and that's why you shouldn't talk initially. And the ninth reason being that the cops don't have to tell you who they're investigating, what they're investigating, what evidence they have against you or anybody else. So it's better not to say anything at all. And the last reason being that people make assumptions. Cops are human. Confirmation bias is very real. So it's better not to speak at all. The next question being asking the most critical advice that Dwayne gives us, which is initially, if you are approached by cops, you answer two questions. Who are you and what are you doing here? Which is very valid when it comes to, you got to think of like from the cop's shoes point of view. And then the next thing being that you firmly have to state your rights, that you do not want to answer any more questions. You don't got to be rude or like, just be very firmly assert your rights. And then don't plead the fifth, plead the sixth, and then firmly ask for a lawyer. I think that the author's advice is pretty good information due to all the injustices going on in today's world and just a sheer lack of knowledge when it comes to your rights and what a cop can and can't do. He offers like pretty solid information, and he's not like trying to say that you shouldn't speak or be rude to cops. He just offers good, solid advice, a good base for when it comes to speaking to authorities.